Rabbi Smith. So tonight's topic is about the 3 weeks. A lot to talk about, just started Shavuos of Tammuz last week, just started the first week of the 3 weeks. And as a Yid, as we know, every single day and every single moment is an avodah for us to go ahead and come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This idea of the Avelus is of the morning of the Churban Beis HaMikdash is a component to come to bring us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In our Shah, Masechet Avodah Zarah explained that the 21 days between Shavuos of Tammuz to Tisha B'Av is 21 days from Rosh Hashanah to Sukkot. These 21 days correspond. One is the avodah from Yira, and one a concept through avodah through Ava. And really, those 21 and 21 corresponds to 42. And really, the Baal Shem Tov explains those are 42. The Shlom also explained the 42 Masois correspond this element of the avodah. So I want to share with you, take something out from the Marva Shemesh. I'm taking a few different parts of the Marva Shemesh put together. A very practical message from the Geras Ramban. To go ahead and to give a strong message of Siyata D'Shmai before Ma'ariv 10 o'clock will finish on time, maybe a minute before, of what's the avodah and how practically can we go ahead and utilize these 3 weeks of a time to actually elevate ourselves, come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I know everybody has their plans for the vacation after Tisha B'Av, and some people have unfortunately they're counting down to their vacation, and they can't wait till after Chatzos Tisha B'Av. And some of us say it, don't say it, but really, we need to realize that it's a avodah that requires from us now, and it's very important that we have to tap into it, how to go ahead and utilize and really grow from these moments. So I'll start with the first pasuk in Maaseh and ask you a few questions. I'm not able to answer all of them because the time is restrained, but all my questions that the Farshim explain, and really brings out a tremendous idea. So pasuk says, "Eila Maaseh b'nei Yisrael." These are the journeys of Klal Yisrael. Asher yotzu me'eretz Mitzrayim. The Tzavaisam b'yad Moshe v'Aaron. When you read this pasuk over here, before you go to the next pasuk, there's two questions that beg itself. These are the journeys that Klal Yisrael were going to Eretz Yisrael. Right? Why does the Torah have to go and shtel avek asher yotzu me'eretz Mitzrayim? These are the journeys that Klal Yisrael did going out of Eretz Yisrael. Going out of Mitzrayim, sorry. The whole tafkid is a Torah l'chayr on the surface, you would say, was the tachlis of the journey is to get to destination with Eretz Yisrael. So the Torah could have wrote, these are the journeys that Klal Yisrael did to get to Eretz Yisrael. And the Tzavaisam, we had Moshe v'Aaron. Why over here does the Torah have to go and make a dogish? The journeys, the Tzavaisam was beyond Moshe v'Aaron. We know Moshe v'Aaron were the leaders. Who else were the ones who were manning Klal Yisrael? Then the next pasuk, as we know, V'yichtav Moshe es Mitzayim l'Mitzayim api Hashem. Then the pasuk says, Eila Ma'asehim l'Mitzayim. It flips it around. So again, these are questions. I can't guarantee to answer every single one of them. But the Rabbi Shemesh and all the Mefarshim, the Ksav Sefer over here, they really every question. Ksav Sefer asks the question of Moshe v'Aaron. The Rabbi Shemesh asks the concept of Mitzayim, why did the Torah change the Lashon? And Shiyotzer, I think it's a question that when you read a pasuk, you should tell them what's going on. So the Rabbi Shemesh goes over here, gives us a tremendous chizik. And this chizik is something which really a person as a yid, we have to utilize this and understand this. Because this is something which the Yetzer Hara is very good at. As Rabbi Smith writes, Shaykh Ramay said that the biggest enemy, the Seidah Shebekirba, is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara which is in you, with the Yetzer Hara that knows your limits, and he knows your triggers, and he knows how to get you. His whole constantly, he has the battle with you is to go ahead and destroy you. And obviously, as we know, the Chavetz Chaim said, it says, "V'hoseh satan lufaneinu u'me'achareinu," that we dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'yashkiveinu to take away the satan lufaneinu in front of us, me'achareinu. And there's many different shatim. What is that? Lufaneinu me'achareinu, which you say v'hoseh satan, take away the satan. But it seems that there's this concept of a satan that's in front of you and a satan me'achareinu. The Chavetz Chaim explained that there's two types of Satan that comes to you. One is a Satan that comes in Fanenu, and he tries to persuade you to go to places where are not good. So for here, we usually give an example. The Hard Rock. He's trying to persuade you to go to the Hard Rock. Now, most of you know that if you find me in the Hard Rock, I won't be a rabbi tomorrow. So it's going to be pretty hard for me to get persuaded to go to the Hard Rock, right? Because if I'm found in the Hard Rock, Justin's not going to come this year. His Rebbe is going to go ahead and post on his social media that he found his rabbi in the Hard Rock. I'm out of business. But the Chavetz Chaim, he's saying, I'm okay. The Chavetz Chaim says that there's a biggie Yitzhak, which means that Mefanenu is he coming attacking you to go directly to do an Aveira. Me'achareinu is the back door. And the Chavetz Chaim was say that sometimes they make you stay up the whole night, like a tzidkis, they'll stay up the whole night until 11 o'clock. You can't close the lights in yeshiva in order for people to go to sleep. Because you stay up the whole night, you're tzaddik, Leil Shishi, and tomorrow morning you miss Kishma, miss Mantfilo, tomorrow you be grouchy, you're not going to help your wife, you're going to scream at her, you get mad. Everything is amazing, it's going to be terrible, but you think because you learned so well tonight, you learned the whole Leil Shishi yelling, you're a tzaddik. So that's the Chavetz Chaim presenting the concept of the two sultans. The Rabbi Shemesh really brings us, I believe a lot of us in this room struggle with this, and this Rabbi Shemesh gives a tremendous chizik, and I think it's something that we have to remind ourselves. Again, the Hasa Sultan Mefanenu going to, when the Yitzhar tries to tax us to go to a place or do a thing, that's constant battle. But we know clearly who the enemy is. It's black and white. Now you have a struggle. Should you go there or not? Should you look there? Should you go there? Should you do that? Me'achareinu, where it's backwards. And the Rabbi Shemesh explains the Me'achareinu, a different twist in the Chavetz Chaim, but the same goal as we say. As sometimes the Yitzhar comes to a person and he tries to bring in front of him, like, 3D image of all the various that he did, and all the bad thoughts that he had, things that he watched, he shouldn't watch, places he went, or various that he did, or lack of mitzvahs. And he's like, tries to mishafel, put down a person, and tries to go ahead and tell a person, who are you? Who do you think you are to come to in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to come to daven, to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for success, or even to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Who are you? Lamaisa, Yishval Adam, you went ahead to Shem Averis. And Bechlal, does that way shall have nachas ruach from your mitzvahs. So Rabbi Shemesh explains a Moedik there, and explained as follows: Kisha Oliver Tzayna Apostle Livrei as Kol Ha'olamis. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, when He created the world, who the Hayinigla fun of His Baruch Shemaishi Kabel Tainu V'Shashur Ma'isir Tzayna. This is a very, very in the Hasidic world, to the big concept that we even say in the morning, Tnuoiz Elikim, give strength to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever that means. It's a very deep concept. But there's a concept that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in this world, that when Klal Yisrael or Ben Adam does a mitzvah, he does a Ritzoynei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it gives him time to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, what this means. But it explains that the Ben Yisrael gets more tainuk from a Ben Adam than a Malach. And he explains something very fascinating. A human being was created with the Yitzhak Tov and Yitzhar. A human being was put in a world that beside the Yisrael should be killed with the Yitzhar in his mind that's constantly trying to put him down, persuade him to go in the wrong direction. He's also a person that automatically is mushbah from his surrounding. That's the human nature of a person. When you live in a surrounding that people are doing good, eventually rubs off on you and you start becoming a better person. And a chas v'shalom, if you live in a place where they're not so careful, and they're not so makbid in mitzvahs, or they're more light and they mean mezalzel, eventually that's going to have an impact on you. So it says that Rabbi Shemesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu put it a person in the world that is full of titles, there's full of tumah, full of distractions, if you may say. Things that are schlepping him and pulling him in the other direction. That's the human being, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him in the Olam HaShof. He says, on the contrary, Malachim, right, Utziva v'Yamid, which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created an angel, and a malach with a mission, and that malach, his mission is to do what his tafkid is do, what he was created for. But that malach doesn't have the sense of bechira, toivara, that Malach doesn't have the Sonia should be killed, but he doesn't have that bad influence. He's constantly doing the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it says Rabbi Shemesh, if you ask somebody in the street, where does HaKadosh Baruch Hu get more timing from? What gives more nachas ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? A Malach? An angel that follows exact instructions? Doesn't go ahead and divert from his instructions, his mission? Or a human being that sometimes does good and sometimes does bad? Sometimes he does mitzvahs, sometimes Rahman al-San, he falls. What gives more of a time to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So if you ask somebody, you think about his perspective. If it's all about tainik, about listening to Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you say a malach, an angel, he's following instructions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's oisir tzaynish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that would give a bigger nachas ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But I have news for you. The Rabbi Shemesh over here, it sheds light. And when I read the shtickle today, I felt it gave me a lot of chizuk. I'm sure, hopefully, if you read this inside, for sure give you chizuk, because I don't know if I say it properly, but if you read it inside, it can give you a lot of chizuk, because the Rabbi Shemesh explains that the Rebbeinu Shem gets much more time, nachas ruach from a ben adam, which means, on the contrary, because a human being has a yitzhar, and a human being is surrounded by all the negativity, if you may say, all distractions, and the human being has the ups and he has his downs, and Afal PK is able to go ahead and overcome his temptation, overcome the yitzhar, and to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that gives much more nachas ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he gives a mashal. He says something a person appreciates only, something which he doesn't have constantly. Something that you have constantly, it's a mashal he gives to the mashal very on our surface to explain it. There's something where the person has constantly, you're not going to appreciate. And I see the mashal over here. You know, Florida is a place, vacation place. The whole entire world comes to live here. Comes to vacation. But we live here after Tisha B'Av or Chodesh, whenever you people go whatever, you're going and leaving Florida. When we live here the whole year round, we don't feel that element of vacation per se, because we have it the whole time. So it says the Rabbi Shemesh that the Rebbeinu Shem, who doesn't have from a human being, because the yitzhak of human being is ups and downs, that the Goin says, the tradition of Oimid, the Malach is an Oimid, and the Adam is a Mahalach, which is going up or he's going down. That's the human nature of Adam, that's the Goin explains. So Rabbi Shemesh is telling us a tremendous thing. Why is it so important? Because now in the 3 weeks, the time where we're going ahead and the time to tshuva, and to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to really misabel and Yishlayim, which that itself is a sugya for itself. How is it possible for a person to misabel? What is exactly mourning on? What is he doing? Like Mr. Gur says, some people take in chatzos and by chatzos hayoyim to daven and to mourn of the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. But one thing is we know, everybody understands that there's ups and downs in life. There's difficulties, struggles, and there's ups and downs. And sometimes the biggest yitzhara that comes to a person is when he fell in his taivus, his shakua and his tumah, it's very hard to get out of it. Because even though you really want to get out of the yitzhara, and you really want to come to daven, and you want to come to learn, but you're torn internally. Last night you watched something, you did something, you did an aveira. How do I have the audacity to come to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's what the Baal Shem Tov tells us. That a yid has to know that when a chas Hashem somebody falls, the first thing is not to harp on the nefila, is to focus on the idea of the sumira ad asay toiv. And this is something which we remind ourselves as we're going ahead in the 3 weeks to go ahead and coming closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we have to remind ourselves that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has time. Now, why has the shaykhs for 3 weeks? So that's a very good question. I think I'm going to have to speak next week maybe. Or to mamshech, the second part of the Dibuk Chaverim that explains, how it explains, or brings out the Sinas Chinam, how the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, Yigeres Ramban, but I have to mamshech because I want to keep married at 10 o'clock.